Ladies and gentle gamers, welcome back to To Be Determined. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how the hunting system works and how to hunt all of the mobs that have been added into the game, as well as the ones that you couldn't hunt previously that you now can. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So when you do the base quests for the Galatea island, you generally go into here and you learn how fusions and everything work. So if you have any questions on how that works, you can usually just go and talk to these NPCs. Keisha doesn't really say much, but it's mainly David here. If you talk to David, you can see how the hunting tools work. So pocket black holes, how they work, fishing nets, lassos, hunt axes, traps, and salts, as well as hunting lessons on how everything in the system is going to work. So fusions, shard types, inherent attributes, etc. So if you ever have any questions, you can refer back to this or drop a comment and I'll do my best to answer it. But I do want to point out that the more unique attributes you unlock, the more sweep you'll unlock on your David's cloak. So that's a big deal to get unique attributes, plus getting attribute stacks. So this is just your total amount of attributes that you have siphoned. So this maxes out at 5,000 and it gives extra hunter fortune. So hunter fortune is a very important stat for attributes. It's going to be a chance for you to get like 2 shards whenever you hunt something. So it can speed up your attribute grinding time by a very large amount. So try and get as much hunter fortune as you can. Again, the main ways to get it are from this and also from the karma attributes, which you can find in the attribute menu. If you ever have any questions on how you need to get a certain type of attribute, you can just type /HB and then click on the hunting box up here. And once you've got 30 unique types of attributes, you can click on the advanced mode section here, and then you can just search for the specific attribute. So karma attributes are very, very helpful for getting hunter fortune towards specific types of attributes, or just in general. So try and go for the karma attributes as soon as you can. They're very, very good. But one more thing you can do here is get a hunting toolkit. So these hunting toolkits are pretty nice. It's really just a way for you to store stuff. So you can throw in your hunt axe, your fishing net, your lassos, pocket black holes, and also 5 slots for your hunt traps. So plenty of space for everything in here. But I'm generally just gonna keep most things in my inventory, just because it's a little bit easier to keep track of stuff. But whenever I store my things, I'll store them all inside the hunting toolkit and then put it in my ender chest, so it takes up a little less room. You won't have to worry about it as much. But again, these are going to be your main tools for hunting. Right here we have our hunt axe, we have a pocket black hole, the lasso, and the fishing net. So if you go to the new foraging collections, most of these will have something to do with a specific type of tool set. So Tenderwood is where you have your hunt traps. So hunt traps you can use to kind of catch attributes while you're AFK or while you're not playing. They're basically minions for getting attribute shards. So very important to get these leveled up. You can have 5 of them at a time. So getting your hands on 5 of the legendary version will be very, very nice. Then in the vine sap collection, you can find the hunt axe recipes. So getting this leveled up will help you with hunting the combat mobs, and most of the mobs that aren't on Galatea, you will need to be using this axe to hunt them. And you'll also need the pocket black hole. So this one's not actually in a collection. This one you buy from the Albert NPC, which you should have talked to in the quest line. And just make sure to get the medium pocket black hole, because it just gives you a 10% chance to get a second shard from the monsters. So just another way to kind of speed things up with your hunting grind. But also in the vine sap collection, you'll be able to find the lassos, which is what you use to catch the forest creatures a lot of times. So we'll go over those mobs here in a bit, but these are the recipes that you'll need to get the maxed out lassos. Then in Lush Lilac collection, this is where you get salts. So the Exalted Lush Lilac Bonbon is the main one. It has a 24-hour duration and gives you a 1.06% chance to charm the mobs you defeat and capture their shards. So this is kind of what you would want to eat whenever you're going to run dungeons and things like that, where you're not really going to be actively hunting things, but you're just going to be killing stuff as fast as you can. So this will just help you get some extra shards from grinding out kills on dungeons or slayers, whatever you're wanting to do. If you're not wanting to focus on hunting and you're just wanting to kill stuff, you pop a salt before you do that, and then you'll have a chance to get some extra shards from it. Finally, the Sea Loomies collection has the recipes for the fishing nets. So these guys are going to be really helpful for catching the underwater sea creatures. So some sea creatures, one in particular, is going to require that you have the max turbo fishing net. So you won't be able to catch it if you just have the blue medium fishing net, and that's because of this throw distance stat. So I'll go over which sea creature that is here in a little bit, but just know some sea creatures you will need the maxed out fishing net for. But the first attribute we're going to talk about is the mudworm. If you see the little string sticking out of the ground right here with the green particles, you can just click on that, and there's a chance that you get some random loot or some mudworm shards. So that's just an easy one to go for. It can be like pretty much any dirt block throughout the island. Just if you see that, just make sure to click on it and you'll get some mudworm shards some of the time. Next up is the frogs. So the frogs you'll find a lot of times just hiding out around the edges of the lake here. So you just click on him and then he'll jump away. Click on him again, he'll jump again, and just keep clicking on him. He'll keep jumping and eventually he'll get exhausted and drop you some shards. So there we go. Frog got exhausted and dropped us some shards. So next we're going to talk about axolotls. So for these guys, you do need a fishing net, and it's easiest to catch them if you do have the stealth enchant on your boots. So this is a drop from killing the strays, which are in an underground cave section of the island. But basically, if you get too close to them, then they will have this red exclamation point over them, and they'll stay that way if you keep moving around them. But if you stand still for long enough, you'll see it turns yellow, and then eventually it'll disappear, and then you can catch them. If you try to catch them before that, they'll just run away and you won't be able to get the shards for it. So make sure to catch them correctly. They can also spawn in these underground sections of the main area. I don't recommend going for them unless they're stuck like this guy is. So this guy's stuck right here underneath this pillar here. So we're just gonna sit here and wait. But a lot of times, if they're not stuck like this, then they'll be swimming around pretty actively and it'll be very difficult for you to catch them. Also, it can just be difficult to catch them because there's other players swimming around making them alert. So generally, going for them whenever they're close to other players or swimming around actively, it's not going to work out. They'll stay scared for too long and it's not really worth going for them then. But while we're underwater, let's talk about joy dives. For these guys, you're going to want to hit them with the net, and then they're going to swim into a underwater cave section. If you try and get multiple of them stacked on top of each other, then they'll start despawning. So it's really better to just go for them one at a time. And also, I believe you have to be hunting level 9 to be able to catch them. So if you try and catch them before then, it won't work. But do just like I did and get them in a cave. Once they sit still, then you can start spamming your net on them, and then you'll get the shards. Next is the Verdants and the Azures. These guys are pretty simple. You just throw your net on them. I think even with a common net, you can one-shot them. So there's nothing too special about those guys. They're pretty chill. Next up is the Burries. So these guys can look like tadpoles, and they just spawn randomly whenever you break sea pickles or collect the berry bushes. They're just like Verdants and Azures. All you got to do is throw your net on them once, and you'll be able to catch them just like that. But since this guy was in our way, let's talk about spikes. So these are the ones that require that you have the epic version of the net. So to catch him, you're going to have to stand pretty far away to be able to get damage on him. So you can see I'm standing very, very far away right now, throwing the net at him, and it is doing damage. So he might still stay puffed up because there's another player next to him, but as long as you're far away, you should be able to catch him. But again, you do have to have the epic fishing net for that. Next up, we have the salmon. So the salmon are pretty chill. You just got to throw your net on them a couple times, and that's about it. The worse your net is, you know, the longer it'll take, but there's nothing too special about them. Just spam your net on them until you catch them. The cods, however, are a little bit more tricky. So you'll notice if I throw two on this guy real fast, he was spinning too fast and exploded. So the trick with them is you have to see how much damage you're doing with your fishing net. So I have 55 pull right here. So when I hit, he goes up to 53. So I'm going to wait until he's below 45 and then throw it. And you see I caught him because he was at 98% spin. So if he was at too high of a spin percentage, then it doesn't work and he explodes. So you kind of just got to wait in between throws here. So wait till he gets to 45 and boom, there it is. Next up, we have the Lumi Squids. So these guys, you have to swim down to the left of where Agatha's at in this end stone section with the end stone in front of it. And then go down to this drip stone area, swim down here, and you'll see the glow squids. So for these guys, you just catch them, and then they will make you have blindness and swim away for a second and catch them again. And then the third time, and they'll get caught. That is with the epic fishing net though. The worse your fishing net is, the longer it'll take, the more times you have to throw your net at them. But they will continue to get smaller as you throw your net at them. And again, they are in a pretty deep part of the underwater section. So you're going to want to make sure you have a good amount of pressure resistance and maybe some respiration. So getting those dolphins caught before you get your hands on these guys is a good idea, because that will really help with your respiration. But the Lumi Squids are really nice because they give pressure resistance, so you can get a lot of pressure resistance from them, help you be able to catch more of them easier later on. Next up are the shell wise. So these guys can have between 2,000 and 1,000 HP. There's nothing really too special about them other than that though. You just spam your net on them until eventually you catch them. So again, having a higher level net is very, very helpful for this. It'll just make the grind go by so much faster, although it is still pretty slow, even with a pretty high level net. That should be it for the mobs you catch with the net. Now let's talk about the ones you catch with Pocket Black Hole and the Hunt Axe. So you kind of have to use both of these together because this only catches monsters that are below 10% HP, and this axe limits the damage that you do so that you do not cause a fatal blow. So making sure to have a good weapon in here is going to be very helpful. It doesn't have to be a claymore or anything, but you definitely want something with high damage more than attack speed. So Livid Dagger is all right, but it's better to get like at least a Shadow Fury in here to help out. But if you can't afford it, don't worry, any sword works. But the first group we're going to talk about for these are the Drowned. So if we swim down into this area, you see it has this section of the blue up above it. So we just swim right in here and you will see the Sea Curses, the Tide Tots, and the Hydro Spears are also in here. So there is a little bit of a trick to this. It seems to be mainly for the underwater section, but I think it also works for on land. If you have your Pocket Black Hole too far above the ground, then even when you hit low health mobs into it, it's not going to catch them. So you can see this mob is right on top of the black hole and he's just not getting caught. So let's do with this Tide Tot right here. So I'm going to place the black hole right next to him and then just hit him into it a little bit, get him on low health with the Hunt Axe. And then once he's 1 HP, it seems like he's not getting close enough to it. So I'm going to swim up close and throw the black hole right there on top of him and then hit him into it. And there we go. Now he gets caught. Again, the underwater ones are definitely the worst ones to do, but you do get shards for catching them, so if you want guaranteed shards, you can do it this way. Again, you can also do it with the salts if you use your main axe. So this is my Fig Stone Splitter. If I just hit them with a Fig Stone Splitter, it one-shots them. I have a chance to get shards because of the salts that I've consumed. But for guaranteed shards, you got to use the Black Hole and the Hunt Axe. So another couple mobs you can do that with here on Galatea are the Chill Blades right here. So you can just throw a Black Hole down and then start smacking the chill shots or the chill blades into it and they'll get caught just like that. But again, this works for pretty much every single mob that has a shard on it. So if we go down to the Strider Surfers down in the lava section, we can throw the black hole down and try and smack them into it just like so. And eventually, there we go, he gets caught. So if you don't know where the lava section is, by the way, it is on the back side of the island over by the Coral NPC. So this is Coral's house where she's got the fish and stuff. So if you go to the right of her house here on the back section, you can get to the lava area with the Strider Surfers. But yeah, it works the same way for these guys with the Black Hole and the Hunt Axe. And again, it's the same way for any mob with a shard. So we're here on the Deep Caverns. I'm going to throw this down next to the Lapis Zombie. Lapis Zombies have a shard, so we can just hit him into the black hole and he'll get caught. And there we go, we got 2 Lapis Zombie shards. So if you're curious if a mob has a shard, again, you can use your /HB and then go into Hunting Box and search for the mob. So let's say the Lord Jawbus Sea Creature. Is there a shard for him? Yes, there is. And you have to catch him with a Pocket Black Hole or kill him with salts or get the shard from Kudra. So again, you can use the Pocket Black Hole strat on these guys. And there are some shards for healthier mobs like Flaming Spiders here. So you have the option of getting them on some pretty low HP and then throwing the Pocket Black Hole down and then hitting them with the axe into it. So you don't have to do every single hit with the axe if you don't want to. If it's a really healthy mob, then you can just use the Estrella or whatever your damage weapon is and just deal a little bit of damage, then put the black hole down and then hit them into it to get caught that way. Just speeds things up a little bit if you're doing it by yourself. I'm recording this the day after the update, so on the release of the update, they had it to where you could loot share with your friends. So if you both hit a mob before it went to the black hole, then you would both get shards for it, but it was causing some issues, so they disabled it. So hopefully it's re-enabled in the future and you'll be able to do this with friends to get by with getting the kills even faster. But that's how you catch every single one of the combat mobs, just using a Pocket Black Hole and the Hunt Axe of your choice. So let's go back to Galatea and hunt the rest of the mobs here. So for the rest of these guys, we're going to be using a lasso or some of them don't even require any hunting tools at all. For example, the Invisibug. So you can see these sharpness particles right here in front of me. This is actually a creature. So if you take your lasso and you throw it at him, you do get Invisibug shards. It is an easy shard to go for, and they are in the bug family. So if you have any fusions that you need with bugs, then this will help a lot. But next are the pandas. Right underneath where the pillar is, like the giant pillar with the forest essence shop at the top of it, if you go down to the right of it here, behind that waterfall, there is a cave to the panda section. So you want to chop down bamboo with a sword. I didn't even know this. I made a short on this a while back and somebody had to tell me, but you can insta break bamboo with a sword, and then you use the bamboo. You'll need 40 of it per panda, and you just feed them. But eventually they will grow up all the way until they eventually pop, and depending on the type of bear it is, you'll get a Moki Bear shard, or you can get a bamboo leaf shard from it. But you can only get the bamboo leaf shards if it is spring or summer, and you get the Moki Bear shards when it is autumn or winter. So keep an eye on what month it is. Right now it's winter, so we're getting the Moki Bear shards. But yeah, all you got to do is just feed them. No tools involved, just feed them until they pop. Next up are the phantoms. So for these guys, you just throw your lasso at them, and let's see, maybe I can get it. I have very bad aim with these, especially when they're not targeting you. It's a lot harder to get them whenever they're not targeting you, but there we go. So this one's a fan flare. So for this one, you only have to reel twice. So you just wait until it says reel above it and then reel it in and you catch it. But this one right here is a vampire. So you can see it's much smaller. So for these ones, you only have to reel in once if he can stop running away from me. You do have to stay pretty close to him, so catching them over ledges like that is less than ideal. But there we go, we caught him. But there's also a third type of phantom that is quite a bit larger than the others. So the first one was the vampire, so that's the small one. Second one is the fan flare, that's the medium-sized one. You only have to reel in twice. And the third one is the Dreadwing, which you have to reel in a lot faster. And they do have a stamina bar. It doesn't show up for me because I'm on Badlion and one of their mods is bugging out with it, but all you really need to be able to do it is to see the reel button above them. So just make sure you reel in whenever it says reel, and that you're keeping an eye on them and not getting too far away. And the last mob we're going to talk about is the Shulkers. So you can see they gave Shulkers green Shulker boxes, but they're a little bit buggy because I don't think they can actually do that in the game. They can't make them green. So you can make the green Shulker boxes, but they had to do some special coding to make this work. But all you got to do is stand on top of them like that and then hit the projectile back into them until they eventually give up and lose the fight. So the biggest trick for these guys, since they have a lot of odd spawn locations, is to, if they have an open face, take advantage of that. But if they don't, a lot of times their open face is going to be facing upwards. So for this one, it's better for me to kind of teleport a little far away. If I stay too close to him and try and hit the projectile back, it will just act like I'm trying to hit him instead of the projectile, and I'll just get killed by the projectile instead. So I'm just going to stand on top of him a little bit here, and I'm going to teleport over to this tree, and then I'm far enough away to where I can hit the projectile back without hitting him. But yeah, they have a lot of weird spawns, so generally you're just going to want to try and teleport above wherever they're at. So I went up right here, and then I can hit back down. Now sometimes their projectiles will go through blocks, so if I stand on top of this guy and then I back up to like around here, I can hit it back at him through the block. So that makes it a little bit easier, but sometimes it's just easier to teleport above them so you can see where the projectile is. Now there are a couple shards you can get only through fusions, so there's no hunting for those, and some of them are dropped from certain boss floors or boss fights. So there's some that drop only from Kudra, some that drop only from dungeons, and the ones that drop from dungeon mobs like the Skeletor shard and the Mimic shard, those ones are going to be the most painful to get because you have to get them with salts, at least as of right now. Black holes don't work in dungeons, so the only way to get those shards is by killing them with salts and just getting lucky with that 1% drop chance. So hopefully we get a way to catch those a little bit easier, but if not, going to be a little bit painful. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, smash the sub button. Got a lot more foraging and hunting related guides coming out in the next couple weeks. Also, I did just drop some new merch on the merch store, so make sure to check that out with links in the description if you want to pick up some 2B merch. And as always, thank you so much for watching to the end, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have an amazing rest of your day, and God bless.